Welcome into the 1-0 Cleveland Browns report. 24-3 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's be real, it wasn't all pretty. It wasn't all glamorous at times. But you know what? The Browns looked like they played their B game, and that's on a good grade for this game. And they still beat the Bengals, the team that's won the division 2 straight years, by 3 touchdowns. So the fact that the Browns were looking like they were so-so for much of this game and they still walk away with 3 touchdowns over the Bengals, I feel pretty confident that if a couple things can get tightened, because it is NFL Week 1 after all, this is the king of overreactions of the NFL, Week 1 wins and losses, the Browns are going to be in great shape. Now, some stats I want to verbalize here. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. Joe Burrow was 14 for 31, 82 yards. He looked like he was far from 100%. I don't know who the Bengals were trying to fool. Do they not know that people were going to be at the game and cameras would be at the game? Because Burrow looked far from 100%. In fact, he did not even finish the game technically. Browning took over at the end. Now, Deshaun Watson. A lot to talk about here. 16 for 29, 154 yards. 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown to go into the half, and 1 just awful interception. I never got a good replay. I don't know if that was tipped or what happened. But ultimately, it felt like Watson and Burrow both struggled with the elements a lot, right? There's that one pass where Watson really short-armed it, I think to Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper. I don't remember exactly. But his foot completely slipped out on the pass. Other times it looked like he couldn't get a good grip on the ball. I'm not quite sure how much you want to chalk it up to the elements. You can chalk some of it up, but I definitely felt like Watson, the Goodwin throw, probably should have been caught, but probably should have been thrown earlier. So there are things that are on him, but ultimately, Watson looked, C, I would say, C plus maybe if you were being generous. And this team won by 21 points. This team put up 24 points on offense, and what looked to be a very slow day for the offense. Can we all just kind of simmer in that for a moment? The Browns' offense did not look good today for the most part. They scored 24 points. This is unprecedented. This is uncharted waters to have a bad day at the office and put up 24 points in the defense, which shame on me for not verbalizing more love for the defense already, limiting the Bengals to 3 points. Shout out to Jim Schwartz. But let's get some LFGs going in the chat right now. Browns take down the Bengals. Steelers got shit pumped at home by the 49ers. I didn't get to see much of the Ravens game, but it looked like a FBS team that should have been an FCS team by more points and didn't. But the Browns going into week 2, Monday night against Pittsburgh, got to feel good. Got to feel good, baby. Now, unfortunately, we do have some injury news to share here. Jack Conklin was carted off in the first half of this game with a knee injury. So for the Browns, they turned to Dawand Jones, and it didn't look good, right? Jed Wills pushed Hendrickson kind of into Jack Conklin's left knee, if I remember correctly, and got carted off. Dawand Jones played the rest of the game. Dawand Jones looked great in the preseason, so it felt like if something did happen, the Browns had a good, confident backup in place. But you hate to see it. I'm scrolling Twitter right now to see if there's an update from Stefanski's press conference. Not yet, but if we're being real here, it didn't look good. It did not look good indeed. But fingers crossed that Jack Conklin did not suffer any major injury. Now, when it comes to Browns news and rumors throughout the entire year, this is the channel because we crossed over 23,000 subscribers, and we're not slowing down yet. So if you have not subscribed, join the channel today. Lock yourself in for the best Browns content. Now, let's talk about Watson in a little bit more detail here. 16 for 29, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Ultimately, Watson looked a bit rusty, right? The chemistry with the receivers was still growing a little bit, but you don't need chemistry to not short-arm passes. And a lot of the passes were at receivers' feet. I think the elements did play, and if you're going to rip Watson for having a bad day, you better do the same for Burrow, because he too was not on point. And the calf injury definitely impacts mobility and whatnot. I don't really know how much a calf injury impacts the accuracy of your passes and things like that. So if you're going to go to slander Watson for his performance today, I better see an equal amount go to Burrow, right? The injury definitely played a factor, but both quarterbacks definitely struggled with the rain and the elements and whatnot. Definitely need to see some improvements from Watson. By no means am I advertising that Watson is back, baby. This is the fireworks we were talking about. But like I said, the offense scored 24 points on a slow day. Imagine what they're doing when the chemistry does click and Watson's not playing in the rain and this team is rocking and rolling, baby. I loved what I saw of Watson with his legs. I would like for him to run it just a little bit less because I get a heart attack every time he gets touched. So Watson, just going to keep that in the back of your head, but that's the way he plays. He wants to extend plays. He'll take sacks as a result of that, but if we can clean up just a little bit more, that would be very nice. Now, Nick Chubb. Oh, Nicholas. 18 carries, 106 yards. Another game where he averages over 5 yards a pop. No touchdowns. I wish he got one towards the end of the game, but honestly, Harrison Bryant getting a touchdown. I've always said if someone's wearing a Harrison Bryant jersey, I'm buying him a beer. So Harrison Bryant, shout out to him for catching Deshaun Watson's first touchdown pass of the year. I predicted David Njoku, so just the wrong tight end. But the rest of the receivers, here's how they fared. Elijah Moore, 3 grabs for 43 yards. Amari Cooper, 3 grabs for 37 yards. David Njoku, 2 receptions for 24 yards. This was not a big dynamic passing day for Cleveland. Amari Cooper and Watson just not quite on the same page at times, or not even on the same page, just the throws weren't really on the money. David Bell had that one really bad drop, so trade David Bell for Chris Jones, try and get that through. We'll see how Kansas City receives that. But before we get on to the rest of today's post-game show, our sportsbook partner, BetUS, they've got the best deal in all of the land for the dog pound. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Browns125. When you put that in, they're going to give you a 125% deposit bonus. So what does that mean in layman's terms? Let's say you deposit $100. They match that $100 and then give you an additional $25 because they love you so much. So check it out. Got to use our link, though. Got to use that and the promo code. Some more numbers to look at here before we let you enjoy the rest of your Victory Sunday, baby. Bengals, 142 yards of total offense. They had 3 first downs at the half. They didn't even have 100 yards of offense at the half. Passing, 67 yards. Rushing, I felt like Joe Mixon looked better than what the numbers indicate, but I think that was just because the passing game was so awful. When Joe Mixon ran for 4 yards, it felt like 40 yards for them because they got nothing going in the air. Time of possession, 24 minutes and 10 seconds. But speaking of Burrow, talk about getting paid and then checking out. I got $275 million. Couldn't even throw for anything close to 275 yards. The calf injuries, I make my jokes, definitely played a factor. What if Cincinnati just shuts them down next week, right? What if they're like, we tried to rush you back, didn't work. Just not going to happen. Can I end the show with this little PSA to JaMarr Chase? Maybe don't talk so much shit before the game, right? Because JaMarr Chase, 5 grabs, 39 yards against a bunch of elves. Elves are not really tall people. You would think someone of JaMarr Chase's stature could get more than 39 receptions. Or 39 yards, 5 receptions. Oh, no. You forgot Denzel Ward was a damn backpack for him all day long. Martin Emerson was all over T. Higgins. And then Greg Newsome was just an instigator across the entire field, making plays all over the place. So shout out to our main man, Denzel Ward, and the rest of the secondary for shutting down JaMarr Chase. And then what a great note to end on here. Myles Garrett, 2 tackles, had that huge game-changing sack, it felt like. Not game-changing, game-clinching sack, I will say. Right? On 4th down, Cincinnati goes for it on their half of the 50, and Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow gets thrown down by Myles Garrett for a big loss and a sack on 4th down. Sets up Watson in the offense in the red zone already. Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, the rest of this Jim Schwartz defense. I love you. I love you all so much. This was one of the biggest moves of the offseason. Not Zadarius Smith. Not Okoronkwo, who got the first sack of the season. Jim Schwartz, ladies and gentlemen. Like, the Browns played man defense all day. Joe Woods, somewhere, is like, I lost my job because I couldn't trust my DBs to play man defense, despite my DBs being first, and 3rd round draft picks. Maybe I should have trusted them a little bit more. Oopsie doopsies. So, once again, the final 24-3. Let me know. We'll end with this question here, Sam, if that's okay. Grade the Browns' performance against Cincinnati. I'm giving it a B. The defense gets an A. The offense gets a bit of a C+. So we kind of equal out at B territory. Give me your thoughts down below in the comments.